Welcome to Achieving Self-Peace. I am your host this evening, Shereka Dunston. I am so excited to invite you to hear from 4 phenomenal life coaches as they speak to you about strategies of achieving self-peace. You may be wondering, what in the world is self-peace? Well, it's just another name for inner peace. You know, that thing on the inside of you that allows you to be calm when the world around you is filled with chaos. And honestly, achieving self-peace is not about what's going on around you or the messages you get from the outside world. It's about what you tell yourself and how you care for yourself. So I'm really excited for you to hear from Coach Aniysha, Vernie, the Gutsy Midlife Coach, Coach Al-Nisa, and Coach Ruth, the Life Ain't Over Coach. They have so many good things to share with you. So let's go ahead and get started with Coach Aniysha.
Hello, I'm Anisha. It took me a while to step into this role of someone who believed in self, someone who persevered and exuded strength unapologetically. All of my experience had led me to my calling of life coaching. I created a company called Transformative Dynamics to provide a holistic approach to help people identify ways to manage a balanced lifestyle that is accepting to the dynamics of change. I just want to give you all a little of my story. I am Anisha Trice. When I was 23 years old, I was diagnosed with lupus nephritis. Lupus is a disease that attacks major organs in your body. For me, it attacked my kidney. It instantly attacked my kidney. That was one of my first symptoms. With that, it led me to end-stage renal failure. I also experienced different medical diagnoses in regards to high blood pressure, diabetes, and also cancer. I had lymphoma in the brain due to a medication that I was taking to protect my kidney at the time. And then that led to, let me rewind. I am cancer-free at this time, and that did lead to end-stage renal failure. At that time, I was on dialysis for 6 years. I currently have a kidney transplant. I received a kidney transplant July 11th of 2021. And through that, I had to relearn myself. I had to identify who I am, what it was that I like, because I struggled with just self-awareness, having that self-esteem to just be myself unapologetically. And it forced me, to step up and understand what it is to be me. And with that being said, I have some things that I would like to share with you guys about the steps that I took in order for me to become myself unapologetically. And it was a journey, but through that journey, I utilized my support system, but there were times where I felt like my support system could not support me. But they always were still there and supported me throughout this journey of helping me to strive to become my best self. And what I did with that was identifying the things that made me happy, identifying the things that made me sad, identifying some of the things that I love. What did I love about myself? And that was the most challenging part, just to dig deeper and identify what you love about yourself when you are at that state where you don't even recognize yourself, who you are, all these different changes to your body. I was young and still maturing in different ways, and I would just kind of like hide myself in different things and not believe that I can do certain things because of the diagnosis that I had. And it took time for me to learn that I am not the diagnosis. I have lupus, but lupus does not have me. So who am I? And working through that process of learning who I am, I had to really dig deeper than I ever did before. And I'm still striving to figure out who I am. Every day I learn something new about myself. And I think about the things, what it took in order for me to become that person. So I ask myself daily, like, what is it that you love about yourself today? And some things would be, I love the fact that I just woke up this morning, just being grateful for the small things and the small experiences that you may have. And then also, I looked at some of the things, what makes you happy today? I'm happy that I have a job to go to. I'm happy that I am able to persevere and push through my circumstance and still work, still be able to show up when needed. And then I also had to learn when to say yes and when to say no, because I always felt like at times I could potentially be a people pleaser because I wanted everybody around me to be happy so that I can be happy. But then it became too much on me. So identifying what's too much for you, identifying when you're overwhelmed, identifying your feelings. If you feel anyway, being open to expressing your feelings and learning that you are not wrong because you feel certain things or a certain way about situations. Nobody can determine how you feel but you. And when you put those feelings out there, it's it's more comforting because you are identifying the feeling, you are releasing it, and you are fine with the feeling that you have, opposed to bottling things in and creating more stress, um, creating feelings of depression, and not feeling comfortable with being open with who you are and how to identify exactly who you are, what you are. It starts with those feelings. So when I begin to being open with my feelings and even saying them, and I would often have times where my mom would say, like, they call me Nene, so my mom would say, Nene, can you, like, you think that was appropriate? I'm like, yes, how was that wrong? But now I'm learning to watch my tone and watch how I say certain things, but still say what I mean. So that's another thing. And just having that self-recognition, recognizing like the part that you play in things, what's more important to you. And then some things that you like. So for me, when I started trying just different things in order to help me stay calm, create peace, and to feel free in whatever in my body, to feel free with what was going on inside of me that nobody understood or knew about. So I learned how to meditate. I practiced yoga. I practiced things that were calming. I started reading more books. I learned to put my phone down because I learned that sometimes looking at things on the internet and social media, it kind of made me question myself and who I am. But now, today, I am stepping into the role of continuing to strive to be myself unapologetically. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Coach Aniysha. First of all, you are an inspiration. You have overcome so much medically that I think most of us can't even fathom those things, right? And you did so at such a young age. So thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing your journey, but especially thank you for sharing how you became the best you unapologetically, right? What I heard you say is that it's a journey of self-awareness. You have to identify what makes you happy, identify what makes you sad, learn what you love about yourself, identify the things that overwhelm you, and be honest about your feelings, and don't be afraid to share your feelings, right? And something I'm so glad you pointed out, you found peace by putting some of those things away. Like sometimes you got to disconnect from your phone and disconnect from social media and do things that bring you into peace and into balance, like meditation and yoga and reading books. And it may look different for our listeners and our viewers, but it's so important that we disconnect from some of that noise that's so readily available so that we can tune into ourselves. And that will help us to become more self-aware. And that can lead to us, increasing our self-esteem, which brings us to Vernie, the Gutsy Midlife Coach, who will talk to us about building self-confidence with grace and compassion.
Hi, it's Vernie, the Gutsy Midlife Coach. So I help women over 50 that are to reconnect with themselves and also to redefine what they want their second half of their life to look like. A lot of times, they've been taking care of others, whether it's raising children, careers, husbands that they've taken care of others so much in their life that they tend to forget, about themselves. So I help them to, figure out what it is that they want their second half to look like. And thank you, Shereka, for putting this together. So I'm going to be talking today about building self-confidence with grace and with compassion. So first, let's talk about what self-confidence is. And it is a general sense of the trust in our abilities and our qualities and our judgment. And sometimes that's easy, when we do have high self-confidence, and usually we have high self-confidence in the things or the areas that we're good with. But what we're going to talk about is when we don't have that confidence in some of the areas, maybe new areas. So we're going to be discussing how do we lean into grace and self-compassion when we are less confident in an area. So let's talk about feeling less confident, because we know that when we are feeling less confident, that we doubt our abilities, and we doubt our qualities, and our judgment is kind of off. So with this is usually when the negative self-talk comes into play. It's that loud noise that's in our ears that lessens our confidence in ourselves. And so we convince ourselves that, possibly we can't handle a thing, or a thing is too hard, or why should we even try? So with that, there's where the self-confidence comes in, that we should be treating ourselves kindly. And with that is that we should make, when we're make a mistake or we have a setback or something, that we should be treating ourselves kindly. That having self-compassion, that means that we relate to ourselves in a way that is forgiving and accepting and loving in a situation that may not seem to be at the time, or does not feel like that at the moment. So the next time, that you find yourself less confident about something, give yourself compassion the same way that a lot of times that we give others, our friends, our family, if they make a mistake, or if they do something, or if they're experiencing, a setback, we tend to, say, oh, it's going to be okay. And, it's going to, work out. But sometimes, we don't give that same grace and compassion to ourselves. we're much harder, on ourselves. So this is where we should, stop, take a moment, and tune into our positive self-talk. That can help foster the self-compassion and help us get over some of the self-doubt. This is helpful, in when we're building our self-confidence, especially when we're taking on something new, because that's usually the time where we feel less confident and we feel kind of scared of doing something that is new that we're not used to, because we don't want to fail. We want to do it right the first time. And that's usually the perfection part in us. But we have to stop, and say to ourselves, at least we did try something new, that maybe we didn't accomplish what we set out the first time, but at least we did take on, to at least trying it. And then we can go back and reassess, what worked, what didn't work, if we want to try it again. So that's something that, we want to think about. So the second part of that is that we must challenge that the negative self-talk by reframing those thoughts that we think about, that we try to think about it in a positive way, because that's the only way that we can increase our self-confidence is the thing, is as we do better and get better at it, that's what builds our confidence. So next time that you're hearing those negative voices say, I can't handle this is impossible, you can just say to yourself, at least I tried. That may be enough for at that moment, at least that you did try to do the thing. And sometimes for us, this is easier said than done, because again, like I said, we have this program that runs in our head that says that, we have to be perfect at the first go at it, or, we didn't do it successfully. And that's where we start losing our confidence. So again, we want to make sure that we're showing ourselves the self-compassion and the grace that we even tried, and that we didn't allow our fear of not knowing the income keep us from just trying. Here are a few tips that can help you build your self-confidence and compassion. Give yourself permission to be human. Strive for excellence, but not perfection. Practice mindfulness. Don't make a mountain out of a molehill. With self-compassion, we can mindfully accept that in this moment, right now, that this thing is, painful and that it's getting the best of us. And then we can embrace ourselves with kindness and care and response. Practice supportive self-talk. So again, like I mentioned above, when we're saying, all the things, to ourselves, why we can't do something, why we failed at something, that we need to practice our self-talk, that you are your first support system, and I can do this. Let me just try. If it doesn't work out, I'll try again, or I'll try something else until I find what works. Now, let me leave you with a few exercises that can help you grow your self-confidence muscle with grace and compassion. One of the first things that I do when I'm having trouble with showing myself self-compassion, when I've made a mistake, or if something is not going the way it should, or I don't get the outcome at first that I want, I simply say, change is never simple, but it is easier if I'm not so hard on myself. And then I say, I'm going to make mistakes, but I'm growing and I'm learning. And then the last one I usually say is, I'm not the first person that this has happened to, and I'm not going to be the last, but I'm going to keep growing. And then another one that I find helpful is writing a self-compassion letter to yourself. A self-compassion letter is just you writing down, how you feel about a situation. This can be a, one-time thing. Maybe something big happened, and you want to write it down and sort out your feelings, and then write a letter to your letter to yourself of, showing yourself grace and compassion in this situation. It'll help later on, when you maybe find yourself in this situation again, where you're feeling less confident in your abilities or your qualities, or starting to judge yourself. You can pull that letter out and you can read it. And a lot of times, I have a couple of these, and they have, helped me get over a situation, because I understand that this is just something that is going on now, that it's not always going to be going on. And then my other go-to is journaling. I am a big journaler. And so I do journaling so that I can go back and that I can look at things that I may have had trouble with. And it's a way of reflecting, how did I handle that? How am I moving along in handling that? Because some things you may have to work on more than one time, and then it helps me to be able to get my emotions out on paper, and then to be able to really look at them, and then put the things that I've written down in perspective. And for me, this is kind of, help reduce some of that negative talk of if I'm, doing a thing right. So anyone that's not journaling, that may be something that, you want to look into. And then it's a living document, because you're always constantly, writing in it, and then you're looking back, and then it gives you areas to work on. And then it also gives you measurements of how far you've come, or what you need to work on. So those are, three things, that I normally use, all the time when I'm feeling when my self-confidence is kind of low, is I look back at those things. So what I want to leave you with is, so the next time that you're feeling less confident about something, remember, we are humans striving for excellence, not perfection. You deserve to give yourself the same level of grace and compassion as you would give a family member or a friend. And when you keep moving forward without focus on the outcome, but just showing up as your authentic self, that is when you build your confidence, and that's when it continues to grow. That's what I'll leave you with today.
Thank you so much, Vernie, the Gutsy Midlife Coach. some of the things that stood out to me as you were talking include, the whole, when you're starting something new, that's usually when the self-confidence will diminish, and things that actually make your self-confidence a little bit less. Well, the one big thing is negative self-talk. So we have to remember to treat ourselves kindly, just like we treat our friends and our family members, and reframe our thoughts and tune in to that supportive self-talk. I like the way you said supportive self-talk, right? Because as coaches, we've all heard of positive self-talk, but supportive self-talk, that just, that sounds really compassionate, right? It's giving yourself that grace. And my biggest takeaway is that we have to give ourselves permission to be human. Thank you so much, Vernie, for all of that. And, next up, we have Coach Al-Nisa, who will talk about overcoming negative beliefs. And I think it's the perfect follow-up to what Coach Vernie had to say. Welcome, Al-Nisa.
Thank you, Shereka, and audience members. I am so honored to be here on this panel with such amazing coaches. My name is Al-Nisa Berry. Pronouns are she, her. I earned a certification as a resilience life coach from the Black Life Coach Connection Academy in 2021. I opened my business, Solid Ground Life Coaching, last year to support individuals in achieving their life-affirming goals by helping them tap into their resilience, determination, and perseverance. I value honesty, integrity, compassion, and service, and live to uphold and honor these values in helping people find their way amidst adversity. I was born and raised in Newark, New Jersey, and I moved to North Carolina in 2005. I now reside in the Wilmington, North Carolina area. I earned a Bachelor's of Science degree in Computer Science, Arts and Sciences from Seton Hall University. For our audience members with a visual impairment, I'm a Black woman of caramel color complexion with long locks, styled in a high ponytail. I'm wearing a royal blue sweater, matching teardrop earrings, and raspberry color lipstick. Now, the topic I will speak to today is overcoming negative beliefs. Let's start with defining negative beliefs. What are they? So negative beliefs are judgmental and potentially harmful beliefs held about yourself, about others, or the world at large. I'll focus on our inner dialogue, and our next speaker will address messages we receive from others. Now, if you've ever insulted yourself, criticized yourself harshly, or called yourself out of your own name, this is considered harboring negative beliefs. According to Judith Beck, who's an American psychiatrist known for her work in cognitive behavioral therapy, she states that there are three main categories of negative core beliefs about the self. They are helplessness. I'm stupid, I'm incompetent, or I'm a fool. Unlovability is another one. I'm ugly, I'm not lovable, and no one in their right mind would love me. Or worthlessness. I'm worthless, I'm good for nothing, I'm a bad person. Now, you may be wondering what causes these negative thoughts. The root cause is our core beliefs, which influence our self-image, affect our self-esteem, and determine our self-confidence. Our negative beliefs are caused by many distinct factors. They can form from difficult past experiences or trauma that we've internalized, or causes can be stress, worry, hardships, and adversity. So negative thoughts can play a significant role in affecting our mental health by bringing on anxiety, depression, anger management issues, and even substance abuse. So far we've talked about what constitutes negative beliefs. Now let's discuss how to overcome these beliefs. I would like to suggest three ways that have worked pretty well for me. When you become aware that you're engaging in negative thoughts and inflicting violence upon yourself, and yes, I said violence because our words are powerful, I asked myself, is it true? This is the first step. For me, the negative belief that challenged me for many years was I'm a failure. When I was able to pinpoint that this thought stemmed from past trauma, I was then able to step back and shine a light on the successes and the achievements and the growth spiritually, mentally, and emotionally that I've experienced throughout my life. In working to unpack this belief, I discovered that I was comparing my life to the assumptions, to the speculations and perceptions I had of others' lives as better. So ultimately, I concluded that the negative thought of my being a failure, it was simply untrue. And I wasn't buying into it anymore. The second step, a second way I was able to overcome negative thoughts was to develop another story and another story and another story until I discovered a new truth. For example, another negative belief that I struggled with was, I am not good enough. There may be some of you listening with a similar challenge. So I asked myself, what's another story? Well, I'm humanly imperfect. What's another story? I'm ever changing, learning, and growing to reach my fullest potential. What's another story? I have a divine purpose for being here at this time. And I continued with this questioning until I exhausted all the stories I could possibly conjure up. Eventually, I came to the realization that I'm pure life manifested, and that's more than enough to me. The third way that I was able to quiet my negative beliefs is to surround myself with positive affirmations and practice transcendental meditation daily. We call it TM. So I decided to completely immerse myself in learning and listening to guidance and wisdom that uplifted my spirit and fed my soul. And in doing this over time, daily, I was able to dismantle the old recordings of negative thoughts and create and develop an incredible sound system that reverberates with self-love and self-compassion and grace. So please don't get me wrong. I do periodically have negative thoughts. However, by using these three techniques of, is it true? Questioning it. What's another story I can tell myself? And positive affirmations and transcendental meditation, I can let them go a lot more quickly and find my inner peace. So please don't become entrapped in your own thoughts. You are not your thoughts. They are fleeting as passing clouds in the sky. Please find ways to find your own inner peace and silence that recording that is playing those negative messages and hurting you. Thank you for this opportunity, Shereka. I certainly appreciate it. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Coach Al-Nisa. You said so many things that stood out to me, including, those three things, those three tips, right, to overcome the negative beliefs. 1, start by asking yourself, is it true? 2, and this is the one that really got me, develop another story and another story and another story until you discover a new truth about yourself. And 3, surround yourself with positive affirmations. And as a reminder, you are not your thoughts. Thank you so much for that, Coach Al-Nisa. And that's such a great segue into what Coach Ruth, the Life Ain't Over coach, has to, tell us. about identifying messages you received in life that no longer serve your purpose.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Shereka. I am Coach Ruth, your Life Ain't Over coach. And as Shereka mentioned, I'm going to be talking to you about identifying messages actually that might be in your life that no longer serve your purpose. As a certified life coach and founder of Release Your Reality, LLC, I help women reconnect with their authentic selves as they enter their retirement years. Now, I'm going to start this presentation with 2 questions that I want you to think about and keep in the back of your mind throughout my talk. You don't have to answer them yet, just kind of think about them, let them hum in the back of your mind. The first question is, who do you think you are? And the second question is, how did you arrive at that conclusion? So who do you think you are and how did you arrive at that conclusion? And just think about those questions. Let me give you a little bit of a background about messages. Throughout the existence of humanity, messages have played a role in our perceptions of ourselves and of others. Implications of what's good versus what's bad, what's beautiful versus what's ugly, what's nice versus what's naughty, all of these messages have transcended time. There have been variations through the generations, but they still foster these positive and negative thoughts that we might have. And sadly, many of these messages have become so absorbed into our hearts and minds that they cast doubt on our own dreams and desires. The messages can come from a variety of sources. It can come from family, friends, the media, and yes, including social media, and society at large. And for today, we're going to refer to society at large as they. No matter the source, we are bombarded with unsolicited commentary that sadly can lead to self-doubt and send us off into pursuit of a life that is really not in alignment with our true selves. So we're going to start with focusing on some messages that we get from they. We'll start with the physical. They tell me how I should look. They judge my appearance. They determine beauty standards that all should follow. They tell me what to wear. They make fun of my hair. And they bully me because I'm overweight. And over time, these messages might have become part of your own belief system and determine what you think of yourself. And those effects of those messages could be that you are now always haunted by this underlying belief that you're not attractive, or you spend tons of money on your hair, makeup, and fashion, but you're still never satisfied. You enter rooms thinking that all eyes are on you and judging how you look, or you develop an obsession with your weight that results in constant dieting, over-exercising, and in some cases, eating disorders such as anorexia and bulimia. The next topic that I wanted to get into was how they affect the choices that you make. They say I should be married. They can't believe that I chose not to see the latest blockbuster movie or watch a popular TV show. And quite frankly, no, I never did get into Game of Thrones. They say it's so easy when you struggle to learn something new. And they want all of my attention. The effects, you feel like something is wrong with you because you're single, or you settle for anyone just to prove that you have what it takes to snag a partner. You see that movie or watch that TV show just to be able to say that you saw it, even if you didn't enjoy it. You feel stupid when you don't understand something and you put yourself down. And then you feel obligated to do for others and put others' needs before your own to avoid hurting their feelings. Now we're going to dig just a little bit deeper and look at the messages that may have come from those who are a little bit closer to you, your family, your friends, your colleagues that know you. They are dismissive of you and your story. They don't reward you for your contributions. They always seem to find something wrong with you. They don't always hear or see you, and you are never chosen or celebrated. The effects: you don't feel valued. You stop speaking up because you don't think anyone is listening. Your social life starts to fade away. You stop expecting to be acknowledged, and success is no longer an option. Playing the role versus becoming the role is what determines how you're going to think about yourself. And I'm going to speak a little bit directly to my target audience, these women over 50 who are about to retire or who have recently retired. You have worked for years and you've strived to do a good job for them. You built your entire social life around work colleagues. You learned new skills to satisfy their needs. You raced to meet their deadlines. Maybe you were rewarded, maybe not. But more than likely, you assumed a role that you had to play to survive. And you played that role and did what you needed to do. For years, you put the authentic you on a back burner and lived a life built on routine and what they said was best. Now the time is yours. Now it's time to remove the costume and take off the mask and do you. So now back to those first two questions. Who do you think you are? And how did you arrive at that conclusion? All the things they said might have helped or hindered you, but have definitely contributed to beliefs that might be self-limiting or in some cases painful. My response is, who the heck are they and what do they have to do with me? I have worked in various aspects of the field of marketing and communications for the past 40 plus years. And while my career has been fulfilling in many ways, I always knew that there was a talented, courageous woman who remained under the surface and went unnoticed. That woman is here today speaking to you. It's the one with a voice, the one who has reconnected with my authentic self, the one who is finally pursuing deferred dreams, and the one who wants to help others do the same. But when it's time to start your next chapter, you might want to start by uncovering your truth. Peel back the layers of all those inhibiting messages and reconnect with yourself. As a coach who is certified in the rapid reprogramming methodology, I can help you release those beliefs that hold you back so that you can focus on whatever makes you happy and helps you achieve self-peace. And that's all I have for today. Thank you, Coach Shereka, and all of the other presenters today.
Thank you so much, Coach Ruth, the Life Ain't Over coach. Your whole description of who they are, right? Society's always bombarding us with these messages. And unfortunately, even us younger folks, right? Like I'm not about to retire. I wish I could retire soon, but we get so caught up in what they say about us that we forget who we are. And you just gave us so many great reminders, right? We have to remove the costume, take off the mask, and do us. Like our authentic selves, lean into that. We have to reconnect to who we are at the core and peel back those layers of what they said, because what they said doesn't even matter. Thank you for that, Coach Ruth. Thank you so much. I think we all needed that reminder. And thank all of you so much for taking the time to pour into this audience. Coach Aniysha, Vernie, the Gutsy Midlife Coach, Coach Al-Nisa, and Coach Ruth, the Life Ain't Over coach. You all have spoken to us in ways that we probably didn't even know we needed. You have poured into us. You have renewed in us a sense of purpose for self-peace, that inner peace that we need to drown out all that noise inside of us and outside of us. Before we go this evening, I do want to take a moment to have each one of you come back on to tell the audience how they can find you online. So we will start with Coach Aniysha. Please tell our viewers and listeners where they can find you and where they can follow you on the web.
You can find me on Instagram at TD Life Coaching, and you can also find me on my website, www.tdlifecoaching.com. That's where you can find me.
Thank you so much for that, Coach Aniysha. Vernie, the Gutsy Midlife Coach, where can folks find out more about you and the services you offer? Vernie, I think you're muted.
Sorry, I turned the camera on, but not the microphone. Sorry about that. You can find me on Instagram at Gutsy Midlife Coach. And then also you can reach me by email at Vernie@gutsymidlifecoach.com.
Thank you so much, Vernie. Coach Al-Nisa, where can our viewers and listeners find you?
You can visit my website, solidgroundlifecoach.com, and I'm offering a 20% off on 4-week coaching package. And that is the best way to find me. Send me contact information. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Coach Al-Nisa. And last but certainly not least, Coach Ruth, the Life Ain't Over Coach. Where can folks find you?
So you can connect with me through my website, which is releaseyourreality.com. Or you can send me an email at coachruthryr@gmail.com.
Thank you so much, Coach Ruth. And I feel as though, I forgot to introduce myself. So I do apologize for that, you all, but it wasn't about me today. It was about these wonderful life coaches. I am Shereka Dunston. I'm a retired life coach and a current life coach trainer. It brings me so much joy to train and mentor other coaches that look like me. I'm also a family therapist. At my full-time job, I am a licensed clinical social worker associate in the state of North Carolina. You could say I really love pouring into people and giving back and helping folks reach their goals. If you are interested in any services by Black Life Coach Connection or Black Life Coach Connection Academy, you can find out more about the services at www.blacklifecoachconnection.com. You can follow Black Life Coach Connection on Facebook or on Instagram. And if you are a Black Life Coach, the Black Life Coach Summit is coming to Raleigh June 3rd, 2023. You can learn more about that summit at blacklifecoachsummit.com. The registration and the website will go live on February 1st, 2023. Thank you all for being a part of Achieving Self-Peace. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Thank you, coaches, for pouring out these beautiful messages to inspire our listeners and our viewers. And thank you so much for tuning in to Achieving Self-Peace. Please take care.